Did you know that this eclipse happening at the end of March, the lunar eclipse, is 2 degrees, just 2 degrees from the Super Galactic Center? It's like crazy, not the galactic center, the super galactic. So what does all that mean? And what else is happening in the month of March? There's a lot happening as we prepare for eclipse season. Welcome to StarSound Speaks. I'm your host, Irlianna from StarSound Astrology, and this is episode 298. So in this video, I'm going to talk about exactly what's going on this month and what there is to see. This is how to prepare. So what are the energies at play? How can you best prepare for not just this month, but leading into this very dynamic April eclipses? These are two of the most incredibly change-making oriented months of the year. And so we're going to be looking at all that, and I'll give you my best advice and some great, hopefully, things that you can use. So, okay, this month, March, advent of eclipse season, all right? Eclipses are always the most powerful events in astrology, right? We have them 2 a year. We have 6 months apart. The last ones were in October, November. This time we have them in March 25th, lunar, solar eclipse in April. Very powerful time. Overall, Mercury in Pisces, hello. I can't talk. All right. Um, there's a lot, speaking of Pisces, there's a lot going on in Pisces. Many planets in Pisces as we begin March. And actually, except for Jupiter, every traditional planet is going to be in the sign of Pisces during the month of March. So that's a lot of energy. Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. So it suggests this completion. It's mutable water. So it's this completion and dissolution of reality as we know it. It's the endings of things. And this is a very, very large signature, not only for this month, but for next month, because the eclipses, the rulers of both the lunar and the solar eclipses are both going to be in Pisces. So you see this theme is going to carry on and permeate, and it's part of this fundamental change. Honestly, it's so deep and vast, and I know we've all been feeling it, whether it's Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn in Pisces, these vast changes, these epic changes that are upon us. And so it kind of feels as epic as, not that we want to revisit 2020 in a different fashion, but it does represent these shifts and changes. And so I'll get into more exact details of what that looks like. But it's definitely, to me, it feels like the end of an era, a return to source. This is this is a time about the moving past the realities and reality structures that we knew and the belief structures, and seeing things for what they are or not, difficulty in perhaps seeing it, or letting go of a certain preconditioned way in which we have approached our reality in favor of something more mystical and nonlinear. So we start the month with Mercury in Pisces, in exile. Mercury is it's not the easiest sign. Mercury is very quick and efficient in dates and facts and data. Well, in the sign of Pisces, he's swimming in an ocean, and it's not clear. And so he's in exile in Pisces and combust the sun, which means he's just left that Saturn, remember that triple Saturn cazimi last week? We had Mercury and Saturn and the sun all in this historic rare triple cazimi. So he got reprogrammed, he got refreshed and bathed in the fires of the sun. And now he's like, okay, I'm gonna carry on with my work. The work he's doing now is very nonlinear. So if you felt confused or you weren't able to access your logical mind, it's because, look, Mercury's in Pisces. It's not the answers and the solutions that Mercury provides are not going to come from a linear place. They're going to come from dreams. They're going to come from intuition. They're going to come from visions, all of these, some of these, right? This is where we look to get, there will be solutions, but they're not in the normal place. The exile means it's not where he's comfortable, but there are profound things that are available to us, even though a planet's in exile, and it sounds really, oh my God, exile, that's nasty. But there is a grace here. And this is what we are getting with Mercury in exile in Pisces. He's separating from that cazimi with the sun. Every day he gets further and further from the sun. Having been reprogrammed in the fires of the sun last week, this is giving us new inspiration for our mind, for our writing, for our agreements, for how we network with others. We are getting inspired. It provides us the opportunity for inspiration, creative writing, music, visions, the things of this nature, very transcendental. Sometimes Mercury in Pisces can feel very much like Mercury retrograde. Like, for example, maybe a machine or something breaks down, or one of some equipment. It can, and it's kind of like a little unclear on how things, operate. So just so you know that, it's interesting because it's in that kind of funkadoodle place about, can unite your affairs, but we have a little respite before it goes retrograde. So one of the things that's going to happen is this. I want you to watch closely this transit of Mercury. We're going to talk about that and the new moon. We're going to talk about Venus and Pisces, coming into Pisces, the Aries ingress, which is the first day. It's the quote astrological new year. That's going to be this month. It's always around March 19th, 20th. And we're going to talk about Mars going to Pisces, and we'll finish the talk with the South Node lunar eclipse and what that looks like. And yes, we will talk about that Super Galactic Center. I will explain everything. Okay, so let's continue with Mercury. Mercury, up until about, depending on your time zone, March 9th, 10th, Mercury will be still in the sign of Pisces. And so it will finally conjunct at the very end of that, right around 9th, 10th, it will conjunct with Neptune. Neptune's at the very late degree of Pisces. And that is going to give, I will say one really great thing about that is you could have the most incredible, inspired art and expression and writing and such, and poetry and dance and dreams and vision and amazing transcendental beauty would say that words that we speak, or the quality of our speaking, would be very compassionate and kind and forgiving and perhaps emotional too, bringing up all of those Piscean things. The part that's can be difficult to manage is you got a train to catch, and it's like, all right, can you just wrap it up? Can you bottom line what you want to say? Not that you want to cut somebody off, but it's like, oh, it's such beautiful word you're saying, but there's the requirements of the busy day that can be a little frustrating when people just yak on and on and on and on ad infinitum, without any boundaries, right? Pisces knows no boundaries, only mystical boundaries, which don't exist in this dimension. So yes, it can drive us a little crazy, but when we know the qualities of things, we can navigate that better. The other thing is, as Mercury moves into that conjunction with Neptune, it's also going to be every year, the sun and Mercury, planets, certainly the sun, when it conjoins the final degree of Pisces, there is a very important, powerful fixed star at 29 Pisces, and it's called Sheet, Scheat. Sheet is very typically associated with tragedy, with sadness, with this, the weeping of tears and what is it, the gnashing of teeth and the weeping of tears, and at the same time, that's definitely a downer, but we can see it in Gaza, war and genocide and all these things that are very, the sacrifice that people are making, they're losing their lives. And Mercury, you think about youth and the children. I think about the children in Gaza, and my heart goes out to them. The opportunity here is to voice compassion and voice compassion and stand up for the people who are marginalized, homeless, war, famine, whatever it is, a hardship, and to develop and cultivate this compassion and perhaps to share it with others, calling out these, war atrocities and such. Let's see. Certainly, a wonderful practice would be, singing compassionate, mantras that have to do with compassion, like from the Green Tara mantra, the Bodhisattva of true compassion, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, whatever tradition that you align with. There are songs and chants and singing and playing music, and dedicating that to the world. Dedicate this to the world at large. This is a really sensitive point that we're at here in our evolution. And when we think about the opportunity to evolve our consciousness into and cultivating more mindfulness and compassion, that's going to really have an effect on what happens, especially next month when the eclipses, well, when the solar eclipse happens. Okay, so enough about Mercury in Pisces. On the 9th or 10th, depending on your time zone, it will move into Aries. So up until now, up until then, it's still, we're still in this kind of dreamy, intuitive, visionary, world of Pisces, imagination running wild and all of that, fantasy versus reality. Then it gets soon as it jumps into Aries, boom, the horse out of the gate, boom, fast. It becomes, it's a real energy shift. You'll feel that. So all the creative ideas and inspirations that have been coming to us and filtering through us, to us and through us, where Mercury's been in Pisces, now it's time to put those into action and start to move and feel very motivated to accomplish things. That's the Aries way, right? Aries is male energy, cardinal sign. Let's make things happen. Let's start and initiate new projects. So Mars in the sign of Mercury, sorry, in Mars's domicile of Aries is very, it's hot, dry, it's quick, it's direct. It's like, come on, get to the point, hurry up, move on. We can be very impatient with our speech. We want to watch out for arguments, argumentative, competitiveness, rash, impulsive things that we speak. You throw something out and then you realize, oh, I spoke too soon. Just pay attention, because Mercury will be in Aries. It's going to be part of that whole eclipse conglomeration in both lunar and solar eclipses. So Mercury, our voice, speaking up and standing up and speaking with courage. So I would encourage you to consider, instead of words that burn and cut and separate, Mars energy, right? What about if you, instead of thinking of flame throwing, what if you thought of a beautiful fire with warm embers? Like after a campfire, when you have a nice campfire and then everything burns down, the fire burns down, it's just those soft orange glowing coals or pieces of wood or what have you, and it's warm and inviting, but it doesn't burn, right? So it's cozy. So having compassion and speaking bravely and speaking the truth, but in a way that's warm and inviting. Mercury has become evening star now that it had its cazimi with the sun. So Mercury's evening star tends to be more yin in its expression. So that's a good thing, right? If it was yang in Aries, morning star in Aries, I would be like, really? So the saving grace is that it's going to be compassionate, but it's from more of the evening star. It's either delayed energy or speaking, or it can be just more of an intuitive nature. So that's what we have for Aries, Mercury in Aries. The new moon in Pisces is going to be happening, and that'll be March 10th, and it's going to be at 20 degrees of Pisces. the interesting thing about that, I think the big feature about that new moon in the late degree Pisces, it's going to make a sextile. There's the nature of Venus. So it's this easy connection with Uranus and Taurus. So this speaks to dreams, envisioning, and the Uranus connection can be, you know, sudden, amazing realizations, improvements, innovations, and in marrying our dreams and what we want for ourselves with our values, and certainly with the environment, with the earth. Oh, pay attention to that this upcoming new moon, because Saturn is going to be at that point right before Saturn's going to retrograde in late June at 19 Pisces. So in the sun, right, the day before that balsamic, right before the balsamic moon and all, right before the March 10th new moon, say March 9th, Saturn will be at that point. So just pay attention. It's going to be very close. So the story that unfolds and around the new moon in Pisces is something that's going to be a long part of a longer, broader story come June through early November. No, sorry, late November, but November 20th, it will be, Saturn will be retrograde. So it'll jump on that point around June 29th. So whatever's happening around this new moon or the day before this new moon in Pisces and it coming up will, you know, have a longer, it will have legs and play out that way. Okay, Venus goes into Pisces, you know, it's one after the other, right? It's, you know, the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn's already there since last year, you know, then Mars will come in, right? And so we have Venus in Pisces. Venus will move from Aquarius into Pisces on, so we started with Venus in Aquarius, we're starting this month. Venus will move into its exaltation in Pisces on March 11th. So from March 11th to April 5th, right before that solar eclipse, Venus will be in her exaltation in Pisces. So what does that mean? Well, wait, hold on, correction. Venus will be in Pisces for just the lunar eclipse. For the solar eclipse, you would think I would know this looking at charts 5 gazillion times of the eclipses. So it's crazy, right? Mercury in Pisces, blame it on the... Anyway, Venus in Pisces for the lunar eclipse. Very, very important here. Venus is in her exaltation. That means that she loves being in Pisces. This is the planet of desire and beauty and love. And Pisces is the ideal love, like the communion, the ideal relationship with the divine, this unconditional love, this pure, pure love, innocence, right? The purity of love in its most ideal form. So that's like Venus is like, yeah, I got this. So Venus in Pisces, again, a wonderful place for performing, for creating great art. Venus is about the arts. In Pisces, if you've been maybe hadn't been writing for a while or doing your art, this is the time to take it up. It's going to be a really easy time to take up art. I would say too, you know, just things with a cause for the people who are like marginalized, taking care of others, and in that compassionate, you know, selfless care. The idea here is that like, yeah, art's really, really, really great. Now, of course, the flip side of all this is looking at things through rose-colored glasses. When Mercury's in Pisces, you know, we have to watch our words. Where are we speaking out of our fantasy land? Venus in Pisces, are we falling in love with a merman or a mermaid? Mer people, but he doesn't have a job. Yeah, he doesn't have feet. Okay, well, is that gonna, no, let me see, until it gets into the conjunct Saturn. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work out. I don't know. It's like Venus and Pisces. Oh my God. Who are you going to fall in love with? And can you keep, are your desires really grounded in reality? Because once it gets close to Saturn, it's going to be like, oh yeah, okay. Now you know, Saturn's like, yeah, I know that you love love, but let's get real. So Venus is like just something to be aware of. The Aries ingress. The Aries ingress is when it's our astrological new year. So that's going to be happening March 19th, 20th, again, depending on your time zone. And that's an interesting thing. Okay, so that means the sun is at 0 degrees of Aries. So the sun is exalted in Aries. Venus is in her exaltation in Pisces. The sun is in its exaltation in Aries, because in the northern hemisphere, it is the advent of spring, and there is this increase of light. So obviously the sun is going to love being in Aries. And so it's all, obviously it's, it's Aries, Astro New Year, every year, Astro New Year, Happy New Year, Sun in Aries. So we look at that chart of the moment the sun enters Aries, and that will give us, no matter where we are in the world, that will give us an idea about the kind of energies we're dealing with. Now, for Washington, D.C., let me see if I should pick that up here. Let me go grab that. Let's see, just a second. Yeah, okay. Pull this up, share screen. Okay, here it is. I'm going to pull up this Aries ingress. Sun at 0 Aries. And here it is, March 19th. Eastern Daylight Time is going to be 11:06 p.m. I set this for Washington, D.C. So as we can see here, it's going to be a night chart for Washington, D.C. This is late, all right? It's after the sun sets, which means the moon is really the one who has the say-so in this chart for the United States. But the moon's in the sign of the sun. So, and it has a nice trine with the sun. So this really speaks to some very strong, passionate desires for the authentic divine, the authentic self, that where we come from, our divine, our Leo, our divine origin, the part of ourself that is eternal, like the sun that is always shining. So the moon, having that in Leo, and with that trine with the sun, we have to look here in Washington. It's going to be on it's a Scorpio rising chart. So that means Mars is, every city is going to be different depending on the latitude, longitude, where you are on the planet. But for the Washington, D.C. chart, it has Scorpio on the ascendant, which means Mars is the ruler of this particular ingress for the United States. Well, Mars, where is Mars? Very interesting. Mars is here at 27 degrees of Aquarius. That's the exact same place as the moon in the chart of the United States. If you're looking at, I use the Sibley chart, but the moon is at 27. So Mars for this Aries ingress conjunct the moon rules the people, the population of a country. So Mars conjunct the moon, that's a real kick in the butt. That can be a little spicy. Certainly a stand for individuality, but in the sign of Aquarius is like, let's gear our goals for, can we all get along? Aquarius, right? Can we have a democracy? Excuse me, I'm going to make sure, Mars, we're going to fight for our democracy. We're going to fight for everyone having a seat at the table. I think that's going to be a major theme of this Aries ingress for the United States. We also see at the same time, you've got the sun here in a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. So there's again this very intense cathartic experience, this kind of, what do we have to look at? Maybe some subconscious patterns around trauma, around separation. What separates us in our politics, in our society, and how do we mend that? First, we have to see the shadow. So a lot of this is going to be the shadow dynamics coming up. so that we can reprogram ourselves and have the kind of ideal society, hopefully. I think too, we have to be honest, Pluto in that 0 degrees Aquarius, we saw early signs. This is a really intense, something about AI and computers and the internet and all of those things. When you think about Mars and Pluto, of course, they're at the opposite ends of Aquarius, but that's a very telling sign. There can be some very deep cathartic experiences around this coming year. So from March of 2024 to March of 2025, this theme about strength, courage, and conviction, right? The power to be different, and maybe to walk away from people and cut ties with people who are not in your tribe. Where do you align with, and who do you align with? Aquarius energy is about groups, group organizations, hopes, wishes, and dreams. So this speaks very powerfully for where we choose who are we aligned with. And that's the fact that Mars is the yin intuitive water sign of Scorpio. This is a very profound, powerful transformation. It has to do with all things Scorpio. So something that needs to die before it can be reborn, right? We think about like the phoenix from the ashes. So there's this great sense of a new beginning here. On a more mundane, way, less philosophical tone, I will say that I see Mars in the 4th house here, the ruler being in the 4th, would to me, that would speak to perhaps a shift. The shift continues for working at home. The 4th house rules the home, and it's home and family and things. And the sun in the 6th house of work and workplace, with its ruler being in the 4th, that could indicate Mars in Aquarius, people working from home online, more of that, or that could still be very much a theme. And so anyway, not to get into much longer about that, because I want to cover a couple more things before we wrap up. But yeah, so that's our Aries ingress. And let's see. So moving on, let's see, what do we have here? I would say too, with this Astro New Year, Venus and Jupiter are both in mutual reception. So it's very powerful, the two benefics in mutual reception. So that's a real positive. And they're bonifying Saturn in Pisces. And so, what might that mean? Well, it speaks to, commitment. I see it as a commitment to, with Saturn and Pisces, making a commitment to spiritual disciplines as an aspect of what's ahead for this year. And I see that in many other places, in other ways of looking at charts and measuring, but that's definitely one of them. The passion for life, beauty, I already covered the trine with the sun and the moon. Tribe up, but you be you. I would say you be you. As part of a tribe, of an enlightened community, you don't lose your identity. The challenge here is to be part of a whole, unified, all for one for all, but don't lose your identity. Be your own true unique self. Okay, Mars will be going into Pisces March 22nd. So it's in Aquarius up until March 22nd. So there's, in the beginning, we have this, it's a different energy. It's Mars. Aquarius is very, techie, linear, Aquarian energy, scientific, techie, right? And then it shifts gears into Pisces. So from March, the planet of goals and ambition and movement and action goes into Pisces. So it's going to be fighting for compassion, fighting for mercy, the strength and vitality oriented toward more mystical realms. So from March 22nd all the way through. So for both eclipses, Mars will be in Pisces, and through April 30th, it joins that Pisces party. So, that can, the thing about Mars and Pisces can be like, I'm a martyr for a cause. And you could see, you know, religious martyrdom and really, unfortunately, you know, think of like a crusader, you know, these people who are fighting and battling over religious beliefs, perhaps. So we want to be really careful about that. Like, can we orient ourselves for compassion? Make what sacrifices do we need to make to cultivate compassion in ourselves? Can we take action without being like, say, a zealot or overarching fighting, you know, fighting to be right over the idea around our beliefs or spiritual or religious beliefs? Can we not be a zealot? You know, what is it going to take to attain a compassionate society? Remember, Mars is the ruler of the solar eclipse in Aries on April. It's a total solar eclipse. Mars is in charge, and he's going to be in Aries, Pisces, very close to Saturn. And so the two malefics conjunct, that's powerful. We'll certainly be breaking that down more as we cover the solar eclipse video. By the way, just the other day, I interviewed Andrea Michelle for the lunar eclipse. So I'm going to be editing that, but we had a great talk, and I think you'll really enjoy, of course, you know, it's Andrea Michelle. How can you not enjoy her and her amazing insights that are geared for nurturing the divine feminine in all of us, and what it takes to find love, be love, as love. You know, this is like a central theme and core of her work, and it certainly shines in this season with so much Piscean energy here at stake now and for the eclipses. So back to this, back to Mars. Yes, there is action for the plight of people suffering. This is where these opportunities exist. There's an opportunity to forgive yourself and others for past abuses, of being a victim, of victimizing others, or being a victim of past pain, of healing the pain body, collective pain body, Saturn and Pisces, right? Collective pain body, and the individual, especially Mars, the individual pain body. And so the last thing I'm going to talk about is the South Node lunar eclipse, right? We end the month with March 25th. We have a penumbral, I believe it is, penumbral lunar eclipse, which is going to be seen mostly over over North America and South America. That's where it's going to be seen. And it's going to be at 5 degrees of Libra and change. And this is conjunct the Super Galactic Center. Now, what the heck is that? Now, some of you might be familiar with the Galactic Center of the universe, the Galactic Center of the Milky Way. That's different. That one is 26 degrees 33 minutes as of this time on our Earth plane. And let me see. I'm going to go check. Where did I see that thing? The sign, Galactic Center. Okay, I want to look up something for you. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to put this link not only for this video, but the one we talk about this, Andrea and I, in the lunar eclipse video. It's the Super Galactic Center, is 2 degrees Libra, 3 minutes, 33 seconds. So 2 degrees Libra. I'm going to put a link to Philip Sedgwick. Very little I've been able to find about the Galactic Center, but Philip Sedgwick, great astrologer, has a lot to say about it on this particular page. So I will link to that below. You will see it's called the Super Galactic Center. And it's an excerpt from a book he wrote called The Soul of the Sky. And I think you'll really love it. I got so much out of reading this, and it explains so much in my life about relationships. But anyway, the South Node, so 2 degrees, what did I say it was? 2 degrees? Yeah, 2 degrees Libra. And so the eclipse is 5 degrees. So it's only 3 degrees away. So it's really close. The Super Galactic Center is a black hole. They thought it was the biggest black hole or maybe the only one that they found in this local area of our galaxy. It turns out there are many black holes, but this one, it has the mass of 1 trillion suns. Can't even put your brain around that one, right? And it is 2 degrees of Libra. And so where we are connected with it on Earth, what does that represent? It's about yearning, and it's about this. It's like the gravitational suck of this is like this giant, I think he called it a cosmic vacuum cleaner. And what does Libra represent? Ruled by Venus, desire. So it speaks to this insatiable desire. Like, I have to be this people pleaser. I have to have love. I've got to have a relationship. I've got to, it's this, you give and give and give in relationships until there's nothing left. And then you just you're exhausted. And like that, maybe that energy vampire of a partner of yours goes on to the next, or maybe you're that energy vampire and this eclipse with Saturn and Pisces there, it's like saying, let's be honest and look at reality and stop deluding ourselves, right? When it comes to relationships, this is a very important a point that that will be made. Yeah, like just think about all those, like the country western song, right? That my honey run off with a horse. No, just the songs about the longing and all of the dysfunction and the codependency. And my God, it's like, where would country music be without? I don't know, wouldn't exist. No, just fun. I'm not a fan of country music, but I have to say, now that Beyonce's there, my hat is off to her. She's amazing. Maybe I'll like it more. Anyway, for this eclipse, Venus will be in Pisces. And so this is like, let's not dilute it. It will have already passed its conjunction with Saturn for that eclipse. So it's like, let's stop deluding ourselves. Let's be real. Let's look at what do we need to sacrifice in order to have an ideal relationship, and what is the true ideal relationship? What's the most transcendent reality around what it means to be in relationship? And is it about external Libra, right? Others. Do I have to please others? Am I finding that relationship, that ideal relationship, and that hunger and that incredible, almost like unstoppable attraction of falling into this black hole of like too much and never enough. It's never enough. It's like never enough, right? So these archetypes are what is ending, because remember, it's a south node lunar eclipse. So there's this crisis around relationships, and it's about ending this feeling of chasing, this insatiable desire on the outside, that if I have this person on the, this person will complete me, like this ideal relationship, like this, the guy on the white knight on the horse, or, Fabio with that chest of his, just his ideal thing that is a fantasy. So this is really going to be, no matter where this occurs in your chart, it's conjunct the Super Galactic Center. That's what it's all about: desire, insatiable desire. And the South Node is like waking up to the fantasy of that, and the reality being that we are, as my spiritual teacher used to say, you are your own greatest lover. No one will love you the way you love yourself. When she first said that, I was like, nah. It was a long time ago when I was still working through that one. And it was like, yeah, of course you're right. Of course, I love myself. And it's like, but I really want that relationship. I had to be honest with myself. Not an easy place for us. Very uncomfortable. But when we get that, really, like what, and you'll see, if you care to read Philip's very long article, but very worth it, it's about making this contract with yourself, of your true soulmate is really mating with your soul. And Andrea talks a little bit, more about this, but it's this connection of and this idea of wanting, not the wanting and the desiring, but like, what are my truths, what you think you want versus what you really want. And so is it, do you want 1 million Instagram followers? Oh yeah, that's really what I want. It's like, but do you really want that? And so we're looking at that. We're certainly with relationships. And then I would say whatever house that this lunar eclipse will fall in, wherever you have Libra, I use whole sign houses, Hellenistic astrology blended with modern, but I use whole sign. So, but wherever 5 degrees of Libra occurs in your chart is the area of your life where you're going to come to your senses. And there is these ideas are going to present themselves in that area of your life. So whether it's money or children or home, the relationship we have with this area of our life, it's time for this wake-up call. And what do we have to, Pisces, give up? What fantasy about love and intimacy and relationship do we have to give up in order to have that ideal relationship ultimately with ourselves? The last thing I want to say about that is Venus in Pisces is 6 signs from the lunar eclipse, right? If you count, so we'll get another piece of this. These are very, you listen to 100 astrologers, you're going to hear thread of commonality, but there's so many facets. So it's nice, it's good to listen to lots and lots of people, but we're looking at this like a gemstone with many, many facets, and they're all true. So there's no one storyline, to any of this. But Venus, 6 signs from the lunar eclipse, really speaks to, I would say, workplace relation. Again, no matter where this is in your chart, it's workplace relationships and health, and maybe our relationship with our daily work, and it's the things that we have to do because we have to do them, right? That's the joy of Mars and such. But health too, and nutrition. My teacher also used to say, nutrition is the ultimate form of lovemaking with the body. So that's another piece of it. So like ending this dysfunctional relationship around food, around maybe overeating or overindulging. This is a call to have a more, with Saturn and Pisces, with Venus having passed Saturn and Pisces, but still in her exaltation, it's with kindness and compassion, getting real around our diet. And we're not beating up on ourselves and shaming ourselves for maybe eating the wrong food or being overweight or having some chronic health issues. We're not beating ourselves up. We're loving ourselves into health. So rigorous diet, really being disciplined, making a Saturn and Pisces a serious commitment to our health and our food and what we eat, to stop deluding ourselves. It's like, oh, I just have this Burger King hamburger, I'm just going to pray on it, it's just going to be, fine. It's like, really, let's be real. Are you a fully enlightened yogi that can pull that off, or are you just kidding yourself? Like really, uh, I would say too, in completing this, it's as we examine all these things, it's about committing to, Venus in Pisces, like, you are the work of art. And yes, you'll look at the invitation to look at one's health and one's relationships and the health of one's relationships and one's relationship with health and food, all of these things helping us to attain, Pisces, mystical velocity, the importance of seeing these things as we move into these less dense states of being, right? Pisces is this dissolution with the material form, with material body. It's like the opportunity to have other higher dimensions of existence of our multidimensional selves, higher dimensions and other aspects of our mystical selves coming online into time space as we know it here now. So I would say, I would invite you to commit to the art of you. Listen, Pisces, you are a work of art. I don't care if you're overweight or you have maybe some chronic illness or whatever it is, or wherever you're at in it, it's committing to you as a beauty. There's no one like you in the world, and that's a good thing. This beautiful, divine you, the beauty of you. Think Pisces music. You are a symphony. And so that's the opportunity here that we have with this lunar eclipse in Pisces, to see and to experience these things, to have these things revealed to us. Maybe there may be things here that will help you, in terms of where you need to look, or if you're feeling confused and you're not sure, just consider what I've shared with you today. I'm not trying to tell you like this is how it's going to be for you, because my God, there's, like I said, you listen to 100 astrologers, you're going to hear lots of different things, but just take what resonates. If none of this resonates with you, this is fine. You're not hurting me. I'm just here. I'm sitting in prayer and getting the downloads and feeling what needs to be shared. And anyway, that's what I have for you. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. If you have, great. If you haven't, that's okay too. I still love you. And if you have gotten value of this from this, please do like, share, subscribe. I love to hear your comments. How are you doing? What are you looking forward to for the month of March? And where do these planets land in your chart? Where do these Pisces and Aries and all this, where does this land? And so, yeah. So we'll stay in touch. We love you dearly. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Okay, this is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Namaste.